Relax is keeping Radio Gaga off the #1 spot. Don't think Freddie was best pleased.
I'm sure.
Who are they?
Yeah.
He was heard saying in the offices of EMI.
The voice of Frankie Goes to Hollywood, as well as a big solo star in his own right, is Holly Johnson. Morning, Holly.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm really well.
Mr.
How are
Beale?
you? Mr. Beale. And I'm not related to Ian Beale.
No,
which is...
I know. I've met Adam and he's lovely, unlike Ian Beale.
Yeah, I see him at family events.
I'm sure.
Yeah, but that's all, unfortunately.
Have you knocked Cindy off?
No.
Everyone else has.
I still need to go to the chippy and all of that. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
great.
terrible, really. If you weren't here or touring, what would you normally be doing on a Saturday morning? How do you spend your weekends? Is it fairly relaxed?
Well, watching the chart show on a Saturday morning to see if my latest video's in it. Do they still have that?
I don't know if they do. I think they stopped it a while ago.
It's all cooking now.
I know.
Which I find really boring, to be honest with you.
Saturday mornings used to be kids' telly followed by the chart show, didn't it? That was the thing.
Exactly.
Well, look, listen, there is so much going on for you at the moment. Firstly, can we just talk about the exhibition that's happening?
Oh, the Holly Johnson story at the Museum of Liverpool.
Yeah, so tell us about this, because I didn't realise, and I don't know if many people realise, that you do artwork as well as your performances as well.
I do.
And this incorporates that, right?
It does, and it includes my teenage years when I was a solo artist and in a group called Big in Japan. It's got costumes from Frankie Goes to Hollywood videos and from Holly Johnson solo videos. It's got very early Frankie footage.
I was going to say, it must feel extraordinary, kind of. It's like walking through time for you.
It is very strange in that respect. But,
Was it your idea?
well, I'd been talking about it with James Lawler from Duo Vision Arts, and it started on September the 14th and will extend to July 25th, 2025. So it's on for a long time.
Great.
Well worth going to see if you're in Liverpool.
Fantastic. And then not only that, but then next year you're back on tour. So this is the 40th anniversary tour of Welcome to the Pleasure Dome. Starts in Birmingham, June the 6th, goes to the Royal Albert Hall in London, then Bath, Newcastle, Glasgow, and of course Liverpool. I mean, you've got to end in Liverpool, obviously. Tickets on sale now. So tell us about this. Will this be a mix of...
You've just done my job for me, thank you.
You're very welcome. Will this be a mix of Frankie stuff and solo stuff, or is this just focusing on that album?
It will be tracks from Welcome to the Pleasure Dome, but not every single track.
Okay.
Because there's quite a lot of them.
Yeah.
And it will include songs from Blast, my debut solo album, and other odds and ends, but no obscure B-sides, I promise.
Right.
But mainly, celebrating Welcome to the Pleasure Dome. We're hoping that a box set of anniversary version will be released by Universal to celebrate it as well. And it'll just be a lot of good fun with all the hits and more.
And you must love performing live. I mean, some artists say they prefer studio work. Some prefer being in front of their audience. What is it for you?
Performing live is something pretty special. There's nothing like singing The Power of Love and it being sung back at you from an audience.
Wow.
And that is always, a pleasure. And feeling the reaction when they recognise a song. It's lovely being able to sing still and stand up on my own 2 feet I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah. And actually, let's just remind ourselves, 1984 was so huge for you, like off the charts huge.
Not just for me,
but for Frankie Goes to Hollywood.
And a lot of other artists had their big year then. People like George Michael, his first solo single, Wham!, Last Christmas, then Band-Aid. It seems to be the iconic moment in the 80s for me. Yeah. When everything sort of changed. And also synthesizers were the main instruments on the records we heard, rather than the guitar bands of the 70s and 60s. Of course, that came back in the 90s, but that was retro, really, that guitar thing at that point. Michael Jackson's Thriller, big video moments occurred in the 1980s also. And there was only about 3 or 4 channels, and pop music was the main thing that teenagers could be into and shock their parents with.
Yeah, absolutely. We did a show earlier in the year around Easter time just called 40 Turning 40. The number of songs that hit their 40th anniversary this year, or albums, as you say, it was just massive. And we probably could have done 50, 60, like we could have gone on and on because it was so huge. I mean, obviously, when you look at the biggest selling songs of that year, you were right up there in terms of with Relax and Two Tribes. It was massive.
Yeah, it was. And also, you know, George Michael, Elton John, Freddie Mercury, Queen, they were the people you rubbed shoulders with, you know, who were iconic performers.
Was that weird for you? Did you find that strange at the time?
I did, because I was just this lad from Liverpool who'd been signing on Social Security for years and plugging away at different bands and different lineups and a bit of a solo career. And suddenly, Relax is keeping Radio Gaga off the #1 spot. Don't think Freddie was best pleased.
Oh, sure.
Who are they?
Yeah.
He was heard saying in the offices of EMI. No one's ever heard of them. But I did see him in a couple of gay bars.
And he was all right with you?
Yes, he smiled at me, definitely. There was no hostility, really. I was a bit shy because, you know, I'd been watching him since 7 Seas of Rye on Top of the Pops. He just seemed like a big star to me.
Yeah. One last question, because there was talk about 6 months ago of there being a Frankie Goes to Hollywood biopic movie. I think Working Titles were talking about that. They were even talking about Callum Scott Howes playing the part of you. Is that still a thing? Is that still happening? Is it due out at any point, or is it all gone quiet?
Goes quiet and then it pops up again. All I can actually say is they bought an option to make a film based on my book, A Bone in My Flute, and they have till next August to make it.
Oh, clock's ticking.
Yeah, the clock is ticking, which I remind them of quite frequently. Currently, the script is getting a bit of a polish by another writer, and the director who actually directed the first Relax video is moving to London from LA in October to shove the project along.
Well, I hope it happens, because that would be a fascinating watch. The soundtrack would obviously be immense, but yeah, let's hope that happens. Good luck with the tour. It's the, of course, we've got the Holly Johnson Story exhibition on at the Museum of Liverpool till next summer, and the Welcome to the Pleasure Dome 40th anniversary tour. It starts in Birmingham on June the 6th. Holly, a pleasure to meet you. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you very much.
That's great.
And you don't look at all like Ian Beale.
This is Heart.